Hey, this is Carrie from Wrap Your Head Around Silks. This is the Expecting Aerials podcast, now with the Digital Network. How's it going, guys? Hope you're having an amazing day. Before we get started, lots going on with Wrap Your Head Around Silks. Always, we hit the mat every Monday and Thursday evenings for Roll It Out. Foam rollers and balls to work on our aerial muscles. It has transformed my practice. I get to know you through Zoom, and it's a really great way to maintain yourself. It is affordable, and I get to spend time with you guys. Would love to have you there. Also, I have a beginner to intermediate comprehensive course. If you're one of those people who doesn't really have the time to be in class constantly and you kind of lose parts of your vocabulary, parts of your practice, it's a great way to have a lifetime access to like a whole digital library of all that stuff. So love to have you there. Aerial rehab, the meant to be the bridge between PT and your aerial class to get you back from pregnancy, surgery, or just being injured. All right, guys. Today we have Cayla Roberts. She comes to us from the Columbus, Ohio area, which is very close to my hometown. And she's got a 5-month-old. She teaches a lot of dance and aerial. And we talk about her birth plan going sideways. We talk about mastitis. We talk about her teaching all the way through her pregnancy and a lot more. All right, guys, let's get started. Cayla, the universe is trying to fuck with my schedule today. I'm telling you. They are like workers are, I'm in an apartment building and they're painting the entire concrete of the ground.
Oh, good.
So, dude, when I opened the door this morning to drop off my bean, he's like, you cannot come and go as you please today. We have to figure this out. And so he's like, you need to leave before a certain time. I was like, I have Zooms. I like multiple Zooms. And he's like, well, you're going to be blocked in or blocked out. I was like, okay, this is effing with my day. And then dude with the, like I live in LA, like they're cleaning the sidewalks and shit. And it's messing with my sound quality. And this will have been announced last week when it drops. But I'm moving to San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been here for 24 years, and I've been teaching here for a long time. And so, like, there's boxes all around me. All the things. I feel crazy. I feel bananas. Cayla, thank you for listening.
San Antonio is beautiful.
I noticed that. It is quite a humidity box.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually grew up in the Columbus area. Did we have this conversation already?
No.
Yeah, because J-Hop is the one who said Cayla should be on this. She's like perfect for this podcast. And we were talking about Ohio. I grew up in Granville, Ohio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is just east of you guys. So you're in Columbus. Cayla, yeah, okay, so if you would introduce yourself, full name, a little bit about where you live, a little bit about your family, your aerial practice, your business, and then I'll just jump in.
All right. So my name is Cayla Roberts. I am from Dayton, Ohio. I went to Wright State for a BFA in dance growing up. So started in dance. And then I got into aerial because I was living in Chicago, dancing with multiple different companies. And some girls that I was dancing with were like, hey, let's go take this class. So we signed up and we all went and took a couple classes. And ironically enough, one of the girls that I signed up for with that class, a couple weeks into taking this our first like aerial silks class, she found out she was pregnant with her first kid. So she ended up dropping the silks class because it was a new hobby, just like 2 classes in, found out she was pregnant. And the doctor was like, maybe don't try something new like that, you know. But her doctor told her that she could do like dance all the way through. So she danced with us and like performed with us all the way until I think she was like 6 or 7 months, something like that, which was awesome. Like I saw that years ago before I was having my family and so I always had that in the back of my head. Like I was like, oh, Rebecca did this. She, danced all the way up. And then I moved back to Ohio in 2020 because COVID things. I was like, I want to be closer to family during all of this. So moved back here, met my fiance, and have been teaching aerial silks and really aerial fabrics, a lot of fabrics, and dance and performing, all of the good stuff.
Cayla, wow. So the pandemic actually panned out quite well for you. Not the case with everybody. You met, how did you meet your fiance during the pandemic?
So we actually met via Tinder. I think it was like one of those, I don't think that dating apps work for everybody, but I got the one in a million off of a dating app.
Did you have to go on a lot of dates before you landed on?
No, not really. And talking to Chris, Chris works in the festival scene here in Columbus. And he's a production manager, sound engineer. He owns a music venue, and our worlds are so aligned that part of me is we would have met each other if we weren't on this dating app, but we met through the dating app because we both were we like weird art and music. And yeah, I think that our paths would have crossed eventually, but it was very cool that we met during the pandemic and just kind of seeing where our lives are now that art is back to full swing.
Tell me if it's kind of hard to find the artist community in Columbus, well, back when I lived there, which was over 25 years ago, it didn't seem like that would be so easy. I live in LA, and it's the artist community is so alive and well, and it didn't, it wouldn't occur to me that that's the case there, but am I wrong?
So I think that when I first moved here, I, really just dove into the teaching aspect. I was coming from, Chicago, where it's a big city, the art is alive, it's huge. And I was dancing with 3 different dance companies, just small companies that we all kind of worked together. And if you knew one group, you knew everybody. And that's how the community in Chicago was. And when I came here, I think that part of it was that it was just all shut down. And it took a while. It took a while for me to know people in the community. And part of that was me meeting Chris. He put me in contact with a couple people. And then part of it was me being a crazy person that I sat down before I even moved. And I typed in dance in Columbus, and I typed in aerial in Columbus, and I emailed anybody that came up on Google.
Oh, wow. I love that.
I was just I am emailing because you came up on dance in Columbus, and I am moving there in 2 months, and I'm looking for teaching opportunities. Do you have anything? And I had an aerial job teaching here before I even moved here. I had a couple dance studios I was going to meet with before I even moved here. And then as I got here and was working, I slowly was okay, I want to pour my time into this dance studio. I want to pour my time into this aerial studio. And things have shifted since I moved, but I had a lot of opportunities before I moved.
So I was going to say, with me and my partner, Asa, when you said that you might have run into him. So me and Asa lived completely adjacent lives for probably 15 years and never met each other in our city. He was working for a production that the bosses of that I knew quite well. I like dated the brother of one of the women. We worked for all the same bosses, and we only met when we met. And then I only realized he was single because he was on Bumble, and I was single, and I was like swiping, and then that's how I even knew he was single, because we weren't having those conversations at work because we were put on the same job eventually. So yes, eventually, but it took so long, like years and years and years and years. But then things happen when they're supposed to, because I think had I met him earlier, we wouldn't have been ready for what we're doing, which is a family. So he's a musician as well. So,
oh, that's amazing.
And then you met your husband, and you guys have one kid?
We have one kid. Yeah. So actually last summer, I was performing like crazy. I was doing stilt walking and silks, and I was teaching like so much. And because of what Chris does, Chris, is a production manager on a lot of large festivals. And I told him at the beginning of the summer, I was like, all right, my goal this year is to work a festival with you, because when people in Columbus want to have a good festival, they call Chris. And I was like, I want to be on one of those festivals. I want to like work a festival with you. So I made it like my goal to work a festival with him. And I ended up doing aerial at 2 different festivals with him. And the second festival was the one we just were like really going around, and we were like, so we're actually having a baby. And like, we just worked that festival again this year, Secret Dreams. And this year we showed up, and Chris was production manager, and I'm an aerialist again. And we had our kid with us this time.
Okay, so when exactly were you pregnant? I'm trying to put this together because there's only 4 years in there. So when did you get pregnant? When did you have the baby?
So I got pregnant last summer. I took a pregnancy test on July 1st. And I took it because I went and took a hoop class, and I was like, man, I have like no lower ab strength right now, and my balance was really off today. And I was like, I'm just going to do this to settle my mind. And I took a pregnancy test while Chris was out at a festival, and he ended up getting a call of me freaking out saying, you need to come home now.
Okay, so this was not planned.
No.
Okay, how old were you at that time?
I was 31.
Okay. So okay, so
we were ready.
Sure. Yeah, so you guys were pregnant, and then how did it go? How did that pregnancy go?
It was good. So we kind of when we found out, Chris had been on tour with Robert Randolph and the Family Band. And so really my whole first trimester, he was out on tour and, going all over on a bus, was working like crazy. And I was at home getting sick like crazy. But we didn't want to tell people right away, because I was just like, that's not what you do. I was like, you wait a few weeks. And I found out very fast because I just felt something was off. So
when did you know it? How many weeks were you?
I was like 3.5 when I took the test.
Oh, so early.
Like,
Yeah.
I literally felt, after this aerial class, I felt like something was off. So I went and took a test, and I knew instantly.
Were you guys, did you guys have like the goalie up, or, you know what I'm saying? Were you guys using contraceptives?
No. No.
So not that surprising. Goalie was pulled already. Was there like because for me and my partner, there was a subconscious like, oh, if this happens, we'll be happy with it.
Yeah, I think there was,
okay.
whether we knew it or not, there was like always like if it happens, it happens. And I think that we were both at that point where it was like,
acceptable. Right.
It was acceptable. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so funny. All right. So you were sick first trimester, which so many of us were.
Oh my gosh.
Did it go away by the second trimester?
The second trimester was great. But like first
Yeah.
trimester, I couldn't even stand the smell of coffee, and I'm like a caffeine addict. I couldn't drink coffee. I was miserable. I was rolling into work, just like looking like a hot mess because I couldn't drink caffeine. I wasn't sleeping very well. I was throwing up like crazy. And our dog, Boogie, he was getting sick. So like, how they say like your partner sometimes gets the sympathy sickness.
So your dog got sympathy sickness.
I think our dog got sympathy sickness because Chris was gone. So Chris was out on tour, and I was like, okay, our dog is getting the sympathy sickness, and I'm cleaning up dog vomit, and I'm vomiting. And I'm just like,
not great. All right, here we are. Okay, so third trimester. Did you train through the whole thing? Can you hear me? Hello?
Second trimester was a dream. Hello?
Yeah, our sound is a little bit off. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. You know what? It's not super necessary for us to do the video. Let's just I'm going to turn my video off. Just do yours. We'll just do audio.
Okay.
Do that. Because it's not syncing up with the video. I don't know if that's why.
Stop video. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, while we're pausing, do you mind shutting off your notifications? I can hear a buzz coming through.
Oh, yes. Let's go. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, no, I trained all the way through. I gave birth at 39 weeks. Like, I think it was, he was born on the 4th. Our due date was the 7th. So like 3 days early, pretty much to 40 weeks. And I trained all the way up until the end of February when they took me off the schedule because I was due at the beginning of March.
Okay. And it felt good throughout?
I think at 37 weeks is when I hit the wall of like, oh my gosh, I am large.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit at 37 weeks, I had a little bit of pain in my low back, which like made me start limping. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't walk. And I was like climbing a ladder, hanging aerial silks,
Oh, you guys have to do that for classes?
Struggling. Yes. But like my students, I will say like my students were always like, nobody let the pregnant lady go up on this ladder right now. And they were always like helping move the ladder and like all the stuff. I was like physically making it happen, but the students honestly saved my butt sometimes. I was like,
Can I tell you how like scared I am of ladders?
No.
Because I feel like I have no control up there, whereas like even if I'm 30 feet up on a silk, I have way more control than on a ladder.
That's such an aerialist thing though. I like every time I like rig an apparatus, I always feel like I want to like slide down the silk instead of walk down the ladder.
Coming down the ladder.
Yeah, I'm like I could slide down this silk so much safer than I could step down this ladder.
I mean I'm a dancer too, and I'm so like I will trip on a mat every opportunity my body has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that because even when I'm on stage, I like have like really good coordination, but then if I'm just walking, it's a fucking mess. Okay, so back to you. Cayla, tell us, okay, so did the birth go as to plan?
Not at all.
Okay, please do tell.
So I hit that 39 weeks and I was really over being pregnant, and I actually had looked at the midwives and I was like, listen, I don't even care if I make it to 40 weeks. I was like, can we just schedule an induction? Like, I'm done. My body is tired. I'm exhausted. I want to be done. And they're like, yeah, we can do an induction. They're like, if you want to have it, we'll schedule it. So I actually scheduled an induction for March 3rd And I went in, and we woke up, at like 4:30 to call and confirm the induction. And we called, confirmed it. We went in to the hospital around like 9 o'clock to start the induction process. And we get there, and Chris looks at me, and he's like reading on Pitocin, and he's like, Cayla, please don't do this. He's like, there's just so many risks. I don't want you to do this induction right now. And I was like, okay. So he got really scared, and I was like, it's not worth, potential risks. And I want him to be comfortable with everything that I'm doing too. So we ended up leaving the hospital, not doing the induction. And I was like really sick, tired. And I was just like, Mom, I need you to come and hang out with me. So my mom came over, and she knew I was like upset that I didn't get the induction, and that I was still pregnant. I was so over it. So she was like, well, let's go walk around the mall and get some lunch. So we went and walked, and while we were walking, I was like, man, every time I eat, like, my stomach just like hurts afterwards. And I was describing the pain to my mom, and she's like, Cayla, that's a contraction. And I was like, no, but it's not. Like, I was like, the contractions would be lower, and this is actually like up high in my stomach. I was like, but it feels like it's basically just constricting my breath. And she was like, no, what you're describing is a contraction. And I just thought in my head that contractions were going to be low in my stomach. And it was actually like up higher, like I thought it was going to be like under the bump that the contractions happened. But it was really just like in my chest and like up higher. So we're driving back to the house, and the contractions are getting closer and closer together. And this is like right after we had left the hospital, saying that we weren't
rejecting the induction. Okay.
Yeah, rejecting the induction. So we go back and we start timing these contractions, and they're getting more consistent, closer together. We hung out at the house, and then we made the plan that, hey, we're going to sit here and labor at home, and then we're going to go back to the hospital, and right before they close the main doors, so that we don't have to go through the ER. So we drive over there, and we get in to go up to the hospital, because we're like, these contractions are getting closer. We're pretty sure this is happening. And we go in, and they check me, and they're like, well, you're still only at 1 centimeter dilated, and that's where you were this morning when you refused the induction. So even though you're having like contractions, we can't admit you unless you are wanting to do the induction now. So we look at each other, and we're like, no, we're not going to do the induction. We're going to go home, and we're going to see if these contractions just go away, So we come back home, and I'm just like still having these contractions like crazy, but they're not close enough together, and I wasn't dilating anymore. So I'm like, well, I'm going to get in the hot shower, tried a bathtub, tried all these different things to try and relax. And then I was like walking up the stairs to try and go to bed, and I called out to Chris, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, this is painful. And I was like, and it's not going away. So at 3 a.m, we went back over to the hospital, and they checked me again, and I was still only at 1 centimeter. But I was looking at the nurses like, this is painful. It's not going away. I'm telling you that this is real. And Chris finally looked at them and said, can we just hang out for an hour? He's like, if she doesn't dilate anymore in an hour, we'll go home. But he's like, I need us to hang out for a little bit. And thankfully he advocated, and the nurse listened, and we stayed around for an hour, and then they came back in and checked me, and I had moved from 1 to 2. So they were like, well, that's enough. You are progressing, so we'll admit you. So they admitted me at like, 4 a.m. on Monday. And I had planned, for an unmedicated water birth. Tried to make it like, my mom had 6 of us. And she said that the best experience she ever had giving birth was water birth. So,
and this is what you were going to do in the hospital?
Yeah.
Did you have this option for the hospital?
Yeah. So that was part of the reason.
Okay.
That was part of the reason I wanted to do it at Ohio State, is because when I looked up water births, they were some of the only people that did it.
Oh, I didn't know that they had that. Okay.
Yeah. So Ohio State, and then they only offer a water birth with the midwives as well. So I was like, I literally let the idea of a water birth choose, midwives over doctor, all that stuff. Cause I was like, I want the water birth. I want this. And, then day of, they said that I had to be at 6 centimeters dilated and my water had to break before I was allowed to get in the tub. And I was laboring like crazy, and I got to 6 centimeters dilated and my water still hadn't broke. And the nurse was sitting with me, because my nurse was amazing. But my nurse was sitting with me while Chris was, grabbing food and stuff. And then Chris came back and I had a really bad contraction where like my legs just gave out, and I had my nurse on one side and Chris on the other. And she was like, I'm not telling you guys what to do. She's like, but I would get the epidural. She's like, I feel like you are so tensed up right now that you aren't, like, your water's like not breaking. She's like, and I'm looking at both of you and you both need to sleep. And, we had scheduled that induction. So at 3:30 the morning before this, we were up. So
you've been up for like 24 hours.
We had been up for over 24 hours. Like, she was like, get this epidural so that you guys can both sleep. She's like, because she's going to have to push. And she's like, and you're going to have to be there with her. So we ended up at 6 centimeters dilated. I ended up calling it and getting the epidural. And at that point, the epidural was so great. I was like, I don't even care. I don't even care. I was like, this is the route we are at. The pain is gone. I slept like crazy, and I didn't give birth until 6:48 that night. But it was like a whole, basically 2-day stretch of like potential birth. And finally, right before the shift change, is what my nurse liked to say. She was like, this baby better come before we change shift. She's like, shift changes at 7:00. Tell him he's got to come out.
So how long did you sleep?
I think we slept a couple, honestly, everything's so blurry, but I think we slept like maybe like 4 hours. But it felt great, Oh,
yeah.
And while I was sleeping is when my water finally broke. They said, like, somewhere within, I got to 6 centimeters dilated, I got the epidural, and then I went to sleep, and I woke up, and my water had broken, and I was at like 7.5 or something. So.
Okay, but since you got the epidural, no more water birth, right?
No more water birth. So I did not get the water birth, which was the whole reason I went with OSU. And that's the whole reason I went with the midwives, because I really wanted this water birth, like, relaxing experience.
Well, I know so many of these stories. It's like, if I were to look at a percentage of like the ones that go to plan, it's a pretty small percentage.
Oh, that's what I hear too. It's like, we write out these birthing plans and then really whatever happens. And As long as the baby is here safely, that is the plan that needed to happen. And the epidural, really did let us both sleep. And, I don't know how much longer we would have been able to go if we didn't sleep.
Yeah. Okay, Cayla, how old is your kid now?
He is about to be 5 months old.
Okay, so still pretty fresh. All right, so how did you, okay, so you had a vaginal delivery with an epidural.
Yes.
Okay, did you guys have any complications?
No crazy complications. Just light tearing and stuff like that.
Okay. Was it with the epidural, if you were to rank it on the rank it 1 to 10, super hard, medium hard, like where would you put it? The experience?
It was pretty easy. Like, I think I only pushed for like 30 minutes, which is, probably those aerial abdominal muscles that I didn't let rest too long, helping out a little bit. But I only pushed for about 30 minutes, so it wasn't that bad.
But you must have been able to relax your pelvic floor, because if not, you would have had more tearing. So
yeah.
Okay. So postpartum, how did you feel that 4th trimester? So, only 2 months ago, really, you were in that. Did you have some diastasis recti? Did you have any pelvic floor problems? And then let's talk about taking care of that baby right after.
Yeah. So, I definitely have had a lot of bladder issues. Cannot control that very well. But I actually took 2 weeks off completely. And then I went back to some teaching, and I have taught dance and, pretty much everything. I've taken Luca with me, and he is on like a chest carrier as I teach dance, which is awesome. I love it. He has fun being in the studio. He loves music. So it's a different experience, but like I will still not like full on jump, demonstrate a lot of things. I had a couple incidents where I like literally just like lost bladder control and peed my pants,
Oh yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I never had like a super like flow, but like just a little comes out, and like I would just talk about it in class, because I'd be like, you guys.
Oh yeah.
I just peed a little.
Yeah. No, I've definitely been like afraid of doing it. Like, there was an incident where, Chris got me laughing, and I'm like standing in Luca's room and I'm laughing, and I just started peeing my pants. And then Chris is like, "Did you just pee all over the place?" And I'm like, "Yes, I did." And, he's like laughing, tossing a towel at me. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm standing in a puddle of my pee while I'm changing my baby's diaper." And Chris and I are both just like laughing, because we're like, what else can we do? But it's like, something that happens. I went to the aerial studio one day to like lesson plan, and I went for, some sort of invert, and peed my pants, came home from lesson planning, and Chris was like, "You're home earlier than I thought you would be." And I was like, "Well, I peed myself. I had to come home." It's definitely one of the embarrassing things, but it happens, and all I can do is, the pelvic floor exercises that we all get given.
Yeah, I got all that, and I also got like those very like thin, like those thin like panty liners that are actually for peeing, not for period.
Okay.
And I was like, fuck it.
So,
it's like so thin.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'm just wearing this to class.
Yeah. I think one of the things that like really saved me is like I used, today's world, they have all the gadgets, but I used like period underwear, and that was great too, because that's got like a little thicker. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I know, like TMI, but like I feel like they like don't give you any air because that's the point, keeping everything in.
That's true.
So yeah, so I like the, but yeah, those Thinx under undies are great for that. But I love that you have kind of like a whatever attitude, because some people are so embarrassed, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's like, you birth the whole baby out of your body, like shit's gonna go awry. Like not everything, hopefully, but one thing or another. So did you go to a pelvic floor specialist, like PT, to
I have not.
figure out?
I have, honestly, I'm 5 months postpartum pretty much now. And I am still like, kind of like, I feel like I might need to go to a pelvic floor therapist. Like we just worked, like I said, we just worked Secret Dreams Music Festival together. And I had some issues there as well. And I was like, man, I really need to go to a pelvic floor therapist. I was like, I'm 5 months postpartum, but I was like also doing a lot more aerial than I have since having him, because it was a music festival, it was work, and it was like, multiple hours of aerial each day. And even though I have my classes and I have the rig in the yard, it's hard to get out there when you have a kid. It's hard to like make the time to go out there for hours.
Well, also, isn't it hot as balls in Ohio right now?
It's pretty hot. And, Luca chooses to nap at the time that it is the hottest.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, you'd have to go like at the beginning of the day.
For a little bit. Yeah, no, yesterday I got out for a little bit, but I was dripping. I was like, and I was like, and with fabrics, like, I really try and wear pants. And I'm like,
yeah,
why am I wearing pants outside right now?
Like, well, is it in direct sunlight?
Yeah.
As well?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, I mean, you'd probably have to go out at like 6 a.m. for it to be comfortable.
I don't have that motivation, because
me too.
I will say our child likes to sleep, which is one of the blessings. I've looked at Chris multiple times and I'm like, babies don't do this. I was like, he's like the first child, like, trick.
My kid wouldn't sleep by herself. So I avoided a lot of like things, because like she wouldn't take a pacifier either, so I didn't have to get her off of it. But oh my God, during that first year, without those tools, like I spent a lot of money on tools because shoot, nothing worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's great. I'm totally happy for you. Because that's also not common. So you're in the good percentile for that. But, and also what I love is that you can take your kid to work with you. One of the reasons why, I am kind of emotionally ready to move on from LA is because this city is not super kid friendly. It's not. It's right. like this city doesn't love kids. It doesn't love families. And I want to go to a place where they love families more, because, if you don't have tons of family around, you need to have a more inclusive community. Like, places. Because otherwise it's just like, I mean, I don't have the luxury of dropping my kid off to my parents because they live across the country, So.
Right. I will say that's one of the biggest blessings I have, is even though I've only been in Columbus now, this is like year 4 of being here. The community that I have here is seriously mind-blowing, beautiful. My boss at Studio Rouge in Columbus, she has a daughter that's, I think, 3 or 4, something like that. And throughout the whole process of me being pregnant, like when I told Kristen, all the way to like having a baby shower and supporting me coming back and teaching, I was like wanting to come back at 6 weeks. I was like, as soon as I get cleared, I'm back. And she was like, absolutely. whatever I can do to help you. She's like, if something starts hurting your body, you let me know. And she's been one of the absolute biggest blessings. I got into a situation where like I didn't have anybody to help out with the baby, and I was scheduled to teach, and I was like messaging, trying to find the sub, and she's like, well, it's not ideal, but she's like, if you are comfortable, she's like, do you think you could teach with him in the studio? And I was like, yeah, I mean, he's really easy. He's a good baby. And she was like, just take him, let him go. And I brought him with me, and I would demo something, come down, make sure he was good, talk people through things while they were in the air. And, it was a lot, but I was given the opportunity to try and teach things with my child there. And like, I'm allowed to go into the studio and practice and bring him with me. And that's something, a lot of moms don't have the opportunity for.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's the subbing options do you guys have a lot of subbing options or no?
So, I work at 2 different aerial studios, and the one studio I was teaching kids, and I haven't gone back to teaching children yet because I feel like if I last minute need a sub, it's harder to skip out on children than it is adults. So I just don't want to be like, sorry kids, you have another sub. Sorry kids, you have another sub. But hopefully I'm going to return to that in the fall. We have a lot of our teachers are very versatile. So like we have fabrics, we have hoop, we have pole. And normally there's somebody that can teach whatever you're teaching. So you have like 2 or 3 options on people that can sub out your class if you need it.
Okay.
It's more of that we all also we're like teachers that also work gigs. So we're all out on festivals and stuff like that. The festival we just did, I was working with the people that normally would sub for me, like we're all working this festival together. So the sub list goes up and down based off of what's going around in the city.
Okay, I love this. You guys help each other out. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you have any advice for our worldwide aerial community out there, keep in mind that some of these women want to get pregnant, some are postpartum. What do you have advice for our community?
Listen to your body and listen to your doctors big time. I will say like one of the biggest struggles I've had postpartum, other than like the common like pelvic floor stuff, is I also have had like 6 cases of mastitis, which is just crazy. I have gotten it so much, and I think it's because everything I do is so physically active. And like the good news with that was, I shed baby weight like crazy. Like I haven't had any issues dropping back down to pre-baby weight. But, I had my own issues with, I have had mastitis like so much. And it's been so painful. And within those like times, like, I just had a case on Friday, and I messaged, my boss and one of the girls that I know can sub for me. And they instantly like helped take care of me. And because I was like, there's no way I can climb a silk. My right arm is going numb, and there's a giant lump in my boob.
Okay. So, you've had how many instances of it?
I've had about 6. Honestly,
Do you have to do antibiotics every time, or are you trying to clear it yourself?
I have not used antibiotics. I've used some homeopathic antibiotics.
Okay.
Which I wish I knew the name of, but I don't have the bottle near me.
Does it work?
It does. It helps.
Okay.
That, and then I have used a red light. I did a red light therapy on it.
So infrared technology?
Yes. So
and it just kind of clears the clot?
Well, so when you get mastitis, it's like you spike a fever, you feel a lump in your boob, and you're instantly exhausted. So I was like doing aerial on Friday morning, and I had Luca at the aerial studio with me, and all of a sudden I got like super dizzy, and I was like, I don't feel right. And I came down, sat down next to the baby, and I was like, oh, I think I'm coming down with something. And I texted Chris and I was like, hey, I want you to come over to the aerial studio and pick up Luca. I don't want to drive with him. I was like, I'm feeling really dizzy and not good. And so Chris came and got the baby. But I got home and I took my temperature and I was running a temp and I felt my boob and I was like, yeah, there's a lump. And yeah, so I've dealt with it every single time with putting heat and ice on it. Each case is kind of a little different. Either a hot shower really helps or an ice pack. And I'll try and stick to like my pumping nursing schedule as much as I can, even though it's painful. You got to do what you got to do. And
and the baby can clear it sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But normally it takes like 24 to 48 hours for the fever and the mass to slowly stop going down. But they say if it lasts longer than 48 hours, that's when you should really consider an antibiotic. And I'm a little,
my God.
I think like the one time I took an antibiotic, I cheated a little bit because I was in Florida for my little brother's college graduation, and my sister is a nurse practitioner. So I walked into the bathroom and I looked at her and I was like, I'm going to show you my boob. I was like, something's wrong. And she was like, yeah, you have a red rash. She's like, that's mastitis. So my sister ended up, it was like, a weekend. We're heading out to his college graduation. And my sister's like, I'm going to call in a prescription and just treat this mastitis. And I was like, okay, cool. So, my sister ended up basically being my doctor for the day.
Well, but that's not cheating in the way that was that antibiotics?
Yeah, that one
okay,
was
so you did
antibiotics.
You did it. And did it help instantaneously? Like, was it like quick?
No.
Okay.
But I got through the day, and part of the reason I let her call in the prescription was because I didn't bring the homeopathic like drugs that I was doing, like the little homeopathic pills that a friend of my mom's actually recommended. And so I left those at home, even though I knew I should have brought them. And that was like, 2 months in, and I had already had 2 cases. And then that was my 3rd case. But I think I just get it when I am, stressed out and I work myself really hard. And then I, end up with a case of mastitis.
Cayla, I'm going to tell you not to beat yourself up. Do you know what I forgot this week?
What?
I forgot my partner's birthday.
Oh, no.
And it was terrible because he was with me half the day and he didn't say anything.
Oh, no.
He didn't say anything. And then only did I find out the next day when my kid goes, is this still Papa's birthday? Lost my shit. Like my like soul went into my stomach because we are moving right now and we have a bazillion things going on. Like, we are moving out of our place. We are accepting keys for our new house that we are leasing in another state. And then the house we own in Delaware is getting put on the market to get leased by somebody else.
Oh my gosh. The moving puzzle.
And then preschool is ending because preschool went through the summer. She graduated from her preschool, but it went through the summer. So she's going through like we're asking her to give away some of her baby toys.
Yeah.
like I'm replacing it. Yeah, we're replacing it with some smaller, like new toys, and she's going through an emotional journey. And then I told my students, I've been teaching at the Loft here in LA for 8 or 9 years. I don't even know how long it's been. And I just told them 2 weeks ago. And every time I go in, there's at least 2 students who haven't learned this yet.
Aww.
So I have to retell why, and then their sadness and trauma around it. I mean, I say trauma with the capital T because like they are experiencing like, you have an aerial mom at the studio and this is your community. Also, my classes are a community around me. And then the studio is a community around each class. So each teacher has cultivated their own community, their own micro community.
Oh, absolutely.
And they are gonna be homeless until they find a teacher that serves those needs, which it's not going to be in the exact same way. Like, I understand what's happening. And then I also forgot. So I made it up to Asa. I tried my best. We also didn't really like celebrate my birthday too much either because it was in May and we were like painting our other house. So like we just went to lunch as a family. That's, it wasn't like, you know what I'm saying? And I did a lot for Father's Day. So he's not upset with me. He's just a little, you don't feel seen if no one remembers your birthday.
Right.
Right. So like the next day, like I baked a cake, we put the candles, we made cards, like we did it as soon as I realized my mistake. But it was traumatizing for both of us because like I was like, where's my brain? Like my brain has left my body. The other thing I did, Cayla, which is why I'm saying to you, don't be hard on yourself about the medicine, is because I was bringing boxes in from my car into the house and I didn't do it, but I thought I left my car at idle outside, double parked for like 3 hours. But I had parked it inside the garage. I just didn't remember that I did that. So like I ran outside 3 hours later, panicked because I thought I left my car idling.
The mom brain gets us.
Oh my God. It's like, so you add on moving, you add on all the things, and I have so little space in my brain. I accidentally like erased a couple of the bullet points on my like messages list on my computer, and then trying to recall what I erased, I couldn't even do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't even do it. So this is, again, about me. But so Cayla, I'm kind of amazed that you didn't bring up the mastitis when I asked you about your postpartum period. Did you forget?
No, I mean, it's definitely like, because I literally just had a case and like today my boob feels a little bit better, but it's definitely been a rough weekend.
Do you have to do the boob massages? Is that another tool?
So there's like mixed reviews on massaging, and at first, like,
really,
I was
okay.
Yeah, at first I was like massaging like crazy, and honestly, now I just I know that it's gonna be a crappy 48 hours, and then I'll feel better, and I like know like one of the symptoms is like a fever, body aches. I just lose all energy. And it's really hard if it hits at a time where Chris isn't around because I have no energy, and holding, the baby, and like he like hits the boob and you feel like all the pain shoot through your body. It's exhausting and it's terrible, but you just kind of, I think that I hold on to, it's 48 hours. I can do this. You just got to keep going. And drinking lots of water always helps it pass. The very naturalist in me is like, take the little homeopathic pills, use the red light, drink water, you'll feel better. But,
I always say, like every time I do one of these interviews, which I've done a lot by now,
yeah,
it almost seems like everyone gets one or two really tough things, if not more than that.
Oh yeah.
But it's like if your kid sleeps, then you have to have mastitis. You can't like get away scot-free.
No, absolutely not. I'm like, yeah, which is very much what I've like, bonded with. I've had a lot of friends and then students that have had kids within the same time as I have. Something about, when you have a baby, suddenly like it seems like a couple people around you start having babies too, which is great. And then, you got your seasoned moms that are kind of like your guides through this. And I'm very lucky that a lot of my friends and bosses as well are seasoned. But yeah, if you have trouble with sleeping or mastitis or breastfeeding or bottles or whatever, like we all have our struggle. It's like just being honest about what your struggle is, and it's not going to be the same as your friends. So as much as like as like telling my friends about like mastitis, I'm like, I was like, no, I don't have any milk production issues, but I have like mastitis and overproduction issues, and that sucks too.
Yeah. I mean, I had one friend who like was just struggling to get milk into her baby because she wasn't producing enough, and the stress around the baby's weight not being enough, and then on the other hand, like mastitis, I never had it. So painful from what I hear. Also, when your kid can't sleep, you turn into a crazy person.
Yeah.
Because it compounds. It's just compounding all the time. Like even right now, Bean is going through a transition where she's been co-sleeping with us for her whole life because she wouldn't sleep by herself ever. So now she wants that independence. She's like 4.5, but she'll wake up wherever she's at and be like, I'm in the wrong place. Aww. And so I'm now waking up 3 times a night, and I hadn't done that in a while. Right. And so I'm like, I feel crazy. And I think back to like that time and like, how did I even do that? Because I was 1,000% more tired than I am right now.
Right.
You guys, this childbearing thing is, this childbearing thing is not for the weak of heart. My goodness, it's a lot, so. Yeah. So Cayla, I also wanted to say, oh my God, why? Your friend, JJ, whatever.
Yeah. Julie
Hopper.
Yeah.
She was like, man, Cayla was pregnant when like you were an example for her. Aww. And then you had examples for you. So I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah. Honestly, I just always checked in because I was like, I got to a certain point and I looked at the midwives and I was like, so like, me going upside down, I was like, it's still okay for the baby. Like, I'm not going to flip them. And they were like, no, they're too big to flip. And I was like, okay, if you say so. But, it was every appointment, every week was a learning experience. And especially when I hit like, that 30 weeks, I was like, every week going into the aerial studio felt like it felt like a times like change, because like my whole body had just shifted every single week. After you hit 30, it's like every week is harder.
Yeah, you're dealing with that shift and that change.
And like talking to like, both my aerial studio owner bosses, like they, had kids and they were like, oh, I stopped aerial at this many weeks, and everybody kind of like stopped at different times, just because like I think I was like forced into stopping because I was on the schedule for all of February, and I was like, well, if I go into labor before then, I'll let you know. But when I stopped was honestly a very good time for me. Like, and it was a week before I had him. Maybe I was really in that studio until the last minute. So.
Okay. I love this. Cayla, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate your time. I mean, you have a 5-month-old squish. That's a very intense time.
Yeah, he's great. Very interactive.
I love it. Oh my God, I have so many new moms like carving out time to record this podcast. So thank you so much for making time. I appreciate it so much and telling us. It's also great because like the story's so fresh of the birth story. So I love it. So thank you so much. And yeah, it was great to have you on. My listeners, if you would honor me with a 5-star rating and review, I would appreciate it forever. It is the hardest thing about being a podcaster is to get your podcast out to the people who want to listen. So the best way to do that is to have a good star rating and like, you know, just ride that algorithm. So I really appreciate if you guys would just open the Apple app and leave me a review. It makes such a difference. I appreciate you. I also have Greener Grass with Digitent Podcasts with my friend Kelly McVeigh. If you want to hear my voice twice a week, it's there for you. It's light, it's heartfelt, and we bring on some really amazing guests. All right, my friends, over and out. This is Carrie from Wrap Your Head Around Silks. This is the Expecting Aerialist.